Greetings. Welcome to Be My Guest. My guest today is Mr. M.K.Angajan. Welcome.
Thank you.
And
Great to be here.
And we have a very nice topic for discussion today, which many people don't really think much about. We just think of little babies, but not our older folks. So it's the attitude towards our senior citizens and retirees. So Mr. Angajan is a globally acclaimed Vedanta philosopher from South Africa. He has devoted 30 years to the study, research, and assimilation of Vedanta and its practical applications. He's a corporate consultant, life coach, and author of 2 books and various audiobooks. Retirees and senior citizens generally face unique challenges. Some of them include sudden loss on monthly income, loss of power, they lose their self-esteem, they feel that others don't respect them anymore. So how do we help them to cope with these kinds of challenges? So that is my question to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in your show, and great to be here. You're right. People, when they retire, all right, there is a huge paradigm shift in their life. The first of all, their income stops, all right, and they have to live on their savings. And along with the loss of income, there is a deteriorating self-esteem. And as a result, they find their family members, including could be spouse, the children, and other people don't respect them anymore as they were before. And if some of the people who are in the business world or the corporate world, etc., they used to working with people, used to guiding people in the leadership positions, etc., and that is gone.
Like when I started, I said, you know, when you see a newborn baby, we all are so excited.
Yes.
And we put all the attention to that newborn baby, including the senior citizen.
That's right, yes.
You know, and then yet that same person was a baby once, and once we become adults, I think the children take care of their children and now forget the older folks, because now you don't realize that they have a need also.
Absolutely.
So I think that's where you're helping us go forward with that question, right?
Indeed.
Right.
Yeah. So they lose their the self-esteem. They feel rejected. Mm-hmm. They feel despondent, and it is important for them to understand what are some of the mental attitude that they can maintain so that they cope with their difficulties and challenges in life. All right. First of all, you know, as we get older, many of our seniors feel that I am getting old, and they perceive it negatively.
Right.
So the first thing that we need to help our seniors understand is that getting old is a privilege.
Oh, yes.
That is denied to many people.
That is true.
So don't look at growing old as or getting old as negative. It is a positive phenomena. There are millions or probably hundreds of millions of people in the world probably may not see their 50 years of their life, may not see their 30 years of their life. And for a person to see 60 or 70 is a rare privilege.
Even 60 and 70 seems to be young these days, the way people's living.
It is,
you know?
exactly.
So it's very difficult in today's society to define old age, I would think.
Exactly.
So, you know,
so
therefore, sorry to interrupt your good conversation.
No, indeed, absolutely. So they need to look at, you know, instead of saying getting old, they must perceive it as I'm growing old. Like when you see a tree that is 50 or 100 years old, mm-hmm. we say it is growing. We don't say it's getting old, isn't it?
Yes.
So as an individual, every one of us need to keep that in mind, that we are not getting old, we are actually growing old. It's a process of growth.
And with growth comes wisdom.
Growth comes wisdom.
And looking so many at your tree again, right? It gets branches, yes. You get shade, and you get so many other things.
Absolutely.
You know?
So that's what they need to understand, that they are growing old, which is a rare privilege. So don't look at it negatively, number one. The second aspect that I like to tell them is that there is a difference between feeling old and being old, right? Being old is inevitable, or growing old is inevitable. We cannot arrest the time.
Oh, yeah.
The time will go on, isn't it? But then feeling old is a choice, all right?
Oh,
Feeling
yes.
old is our reaction to the process of growth, right?
How true.
So we need to say, it's an attitude in terms of when we say that, we often say that youth is a state of mind, age is a state of mind, and if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of mind. So most people, or as we get older, they allow themselves to psychologically impact negatively and say that I'm getting older. So we can be old, but we may still feel younger. So feeling young is an attitude towards life itself. We can still maintain the energy, enthusiasm, drive, passion in every aspect of life. Strictly speaking, there is no such thing as retirement. Yes, we may retire from our job, but never retire from life.
Oh, yes.
Isn't it? So we got to perceive that, the laws of the country prescribes that is at certain age we have to retire.
The laws of our country, yes.
Yeah, laws of the country, laws of the state.
Yes.
So I don't know what the age of retirement in this country. Some of the other, I know in Australia it is about 70 years. In India it's about 58 or 60 years. And in South Africa it's about 65 years, depending upon the population each country prescribes.
And I think in this country it depends on where you work also.
Oh, that also matters.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so which state you're living or working, so that state determines the retirement age?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's company related.
Okay. So what we need to understand is that never retire from life. We have to retire from work. So we make the suggestion to ourselves that age is a matter of mind, and if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And talking about age, most people only look at the chronological age. For every human being, there are 3 levels of age, or 3 types of ages. The first one is the chronological age. That is the number of years that we live.
Right.
20, 30, 40, 60, 70, 80 years of their life, our life. That is the chronological age. That we cannot do anything. The time will keep moving, isn't it?
The years coming.
It is, it's something we cannot arrest.
But we all have 24 hours in a day, that's equal.
Yes,
and it
everybody's
goes one
got
after the other.
Yes, everybody's got that time span. Then we have the biological age. That is the age of our body, right?
Yes.
Then we have the psychological age. So what we don't have control over is the chronological age, because that depends upon the time span, movement of the time. That we have nobody has got control over it. Okay. But what we do have control over is the biological age and the psychological age.
Definitely, and that comes with my favorite topic, right? The food we put in.
Indeed.
And it is the exercise, the movements we do with our bodies.
Exactly.
And how we keep our brain. And again, the food we put in can also help the brain.
Very much, absolutely.
Getting totally out of what you have been speaking, but it's all in the same line.
Very much in the same line, yes. Often we have the discussion about the kind of diet that we follow, etc. So we can definitely control our biological age by 2 things, or probably 3 things. Number 1, of course, is diet. All right. What we eat, how we eat, when we eat, how much we eat, all that contributes.
I think time too.
Time too, very much. Like if you look at the animals, animal kingdom, you find they eat food in small doses, and by sunset they stop eating, and their health is, they maintain their health. And they don't fall sick.
Even a little child, now that I'm taking care of my grandchildren, and I can see, by 4:30, maybe 5:30 last, they'll eat the meal.
Okay.
and then they, soon after, it's like nocturnal. Whenever the darkness comes,
Yes.
then they're ready to bed.
Exactly.
As soon as the light comes, they're awake.
Absolutely.
And I think that's how that's how the animals are too.
Animals
So
too.
if you use your instinct,
Very true.
you live with your instinct, then you can actually live.
Very much.
Because today one of the things is sleep deprivation, am I right?
Right, very much. A lot of people don't have that sleep, and also, you spoke about the children. The children at that age of 1, 2, 3, 4 years of age, their ability to make choices are still not very, very expressive. It's not manifested yet. So they live almost instinctively.
This is it. They live instinctively. It's not about making choices.
Absolutely.
It's about they know when they are hungry.
Absolutely.
And they know when they are full within the day span.
Absolutely.
So
Like the animal kingdom.
Yeah, like, as I'm saying, when you don't put much thought into things and you just live instinctively.
Correct.
This is what happens. This is what I'm thinking.
Very much. So,
and I'm assuming that scientists,
instinctively at that age. But then as we grow older, we cannot always act on instinct. We need to make choices that is healthy. Human beings are blessed with that ability to make conscious choices.
Yes.
So when it comes to our eating habits, all right, how much, what, when, where, etc., that will help us to maintain our biological age less, number one. Number two, of course, the yoga and pranayama, which is a breathing exercises. Now, the time-tested lifestyle that is originated in India, the philosophy of yoga, etc., if we approach it properly, it has got the ability to reduce the aging process of our body. So a person can be 70 years, but his or her body can be 50 years. Our heart condition, a person can be 70 years, but heart can be about 50 or 40 years of age. All right. So we have the voluntary organs, which is our limbs, hands, legs, etc. Then we have our involuntary organs. So through yoga and pranayama, we can control our involuntary organs, all right? And although we get older, our biological age can be regulated. And then the third age is the psychological age. Psychological age is how old or young we feel.
Right.
Many people, I often heard people say this, oh, I want to retire at the age of 40. I wonder what they do after retiring.
I do, and as you spoke about that, I was just thinking how many people they say, oh, I'm reaching 40, that's it. I can't do this and I can't do that. You are putting own restrictions on yourself.
Absolutely. The psychological age is something that we define. How we feel, how youthful we feel. So the life is meant to feel that energy, enthusiasm, passion, drive in every aspect. One American thinker said, most people die at the age of 25, but they're buried at the age of 75. Meaning they think, okay, life is over by the time they're 30, 40 or whatever. But, the Upanishads are the one of the oldest, or I would say the oldest literature in the world, wherein it talks about
Hindu literature.
Hindu literatures, of course. So it says one must live 100 years by action, by energy. So we can create that mental framework. We can create that mental atmosphere that we feel the passion, energy, and drive. So having said that, one of the challenges very often our retired people or the parents face is that
more like grandparents,
etc. Their reaction from the children. All right.
Yes.
I've seen many Indian families. The young couple have come from India maybe 20 or 30 years before, 10 years before, and they're settled here. They have, both of them are working, and they bring their parents from India with the sole idea of taking care of the grandchildren, right? While on one hand they may be happy, but it is not right from the children's perspective to use the grandchildren only to look after their to use the grandparents only to look after the children. Yes, they're more than happy to look after the grandchildren, of course, but from the children perspective, and they don't provide the comforts, the solace that they need. You know, the older people, they may not need money, they may not need all the material stuff from the children, but what they need is a feeling that there is somebody, you know, to speak to them every day, every other day, and to give them a confidence that, listen, I am with you, right? That's all they need. We don't to give them, they don't need money because their needs are much less. So to give them that solace that I'm there for you, right? Rest assured. When we give them that feeling, they feel confident inside.
Right.
Right.
But this is not unique only to Indians. I mean, it seems to be a thing amongst all.
Among all race groups in the world, I guess.
I mean, not necessarily everybody is bringing their parents over.
Yeah.
But, you know, that seemed to be because
the trend.
The sandwich generation, so-called, the parents who now bring their parents over,
Yeah.
who have their little children, they are running such a busy life,
Right.
that they want their needs met and not realize, but when they come home, their children are pulling them, so they're not realizing, you know what, I also have my parents here. So as much as my children need me, my parents, at least say hello to them.
Right.
Or say, thank you for providing the meal for my child today.
Absolutely.
A small thing like thank you can make
Little things.
such a big difference in
Absolutely.
anybody's life.
Very much.
But
When
here we're talking about seniors and retirees, but in general. So with that being said, you know, also there's another effect. Quite often this newer generation are starting to cut off grandparents altogether from their children, from their
Absolutely.
grandchildren. That's also the negative effect.
Of course,
That
it is.
also cause the grandparents feel very bitter and sore and can age much quicker that way
Very
too.
much, absolutely. You know, there's another dimension to that, is that our grandchildren need the wisdom, attention, and the emotional connection with the grandparents, because there are many things that they learn from the grandparents which the parents cannot provide. So it is a necessity, you know, the connection between the grandchildren and grandparents, all right? And of course, the grandparents feel so elated inside. They feel the sense of
wanted because
they feel
yes,
wanted,
my
exactly.
child wants me there.
Yeah.
But when there's an abuse happening with that looking after, in a sense where the grandparent is now totally avoided and all of that,
Absolutely.
it's a very, very delicate line, I must say.
It is a delicate line.
It is.
So the point is that they need that emotional support
Yes.
from the children and the grandchildren,
Yes.
etc. And it's a mutual connection, all right?
And even outings, you know, when a grandparent is taking care of their child, it's not, I don't know why we're bringing in this to grandparent and parent, but it's still, I guess, timely. When you go out on a hike, you know, you think, okay, my parents are too old to join me. Or you go on a little trail, you know, things that cost you nothing.
Absolutely.
If things cost you money and you still bring them parents, that's good too. But I'm just saying, you're not bringing monetary into this whole thing, just the thing of caring.
Exactly.
A simple road trip can make such a big difference.
Very
like
much.
here in Acton, we have the Arboretum, which is just down the road, and or I should say up the road from the studio. Just take the grandparent, the grandchild for a little stroll up the Arboretum. How much can the child learn? I'm talking from my own experience. I was much older. My grandmother visited, and she came during the fall. And when she spoke about the color of the changing of the leaves, can you imagine the little child when they're just developing and getting all this vision of what this little colors that she's speaking about and how is she relating it to me? And I cannot describe in words what that can do
Very
for
much.
both.
Exactly. They feel a great sense of satisfaction through that kind of experience.
And 3 generations go together. How much
Absolutely.
nicer is that?
Very much. In
a
fact,
simple walk in the park.
Absolutely. And I come from a family where I think about 5 generations were existing until my mother passed away last year at the age of nearly 99 plus. you know.
Wow.
And so you could see that in her life, in her face, that when the grandchildren are, not all of them visit very often,
Yes, yes.
but the fact that they're all around, she feels a great sense of comfort inside.
And it's a pride, right?
It's very much, very much.
Because
And another important aspect when it comes to our senior citizens is that, you know, many of them have carried so much of wisdom. They have so much, they imbued so much of wisdom, so much of experiences. Now, many seniors think that that's the end of their life. Now, they can, one of the very important attitude that they can maintain is the spirit of giving. All right. Now, they can go to probably the homes, they can go to orphanages, they can go to schools maybe, to use their wisdom and skill. Don't allow that wisdom that you gain over 60, 70 years perish with you. There are so many people in the world need that. So develop that attitude of giving. So take maybe a few hours in a week, on a Saturday or a Thursday or a Wednesday or whatever. Go out and interact with people and give that wisdom.
the social outings is such a big thing
Okay.
for human beings to grow.
Absolutely.
And we are all social beings, and being out is social, like helping somebody, like you.
Very much.
Here we also have the community suppers where you can maybe, if you need a supper, you can go and have your supper. If you want to help at the supper, you can go and help.
You can
this is
do-
one example
absolutely.
right here.
Very
but
much.
there's very many more examples here. In the town of Acton, we have the Council of Aging. They do numerous things, unbelievable amount of people
Charitable
get
work.
charitable work
Exactly.
there. You know,
Volunteering.
people can volunteer there. People can go and get maintain a good status of health
Exactly.
themselves.
Absolutely.
There's lots of resources that
Yeah.
way.
One of the, talking about that, one of the great way of feeling fulfilled, feeling the great of self-esteem is when we practice the act of giving, a random act of kindness. It doesn't have to be random, but a
Yes.
regular act of kindness without expecting anything in return.
Yeah, exactly.
That gives us a great feeling. I mean, you don't have to wait to retire to do that. At every stage of our growth, we can do that. The act of charity.
Right.
You know, and why that is important is that we all know death is inevitable. It can happen to any one of you. Don't know when it is. So when that happens, yes, we have to leave our family members. We have to leave our wealth, our relationship that we have accumulated here. We won't have, we cannot carry the education that we have.
Yes.
There is something else that that goes with the soul at the time of death. What goes with the soul is the virtues, the charitable deeds that we have done.
And the
So I
helpfulness, yeah.
strongly believe that once we cross 60, we must actually start sowing the seeds of our future life, meaning next life. Whether we believe it or not, but there are enough and more evidences and laws to prove that when we die, life doesn't end.
Yes.
Death is actually a process of renewal. All right. So when we live to see our 60 years of age, thereafter, we begin to sow the seeds of future life. All right. So that when we leave this body, the effect of our good deeds, which in Indian philosophy we call it the good karma. Good karma goes with us.
Right.
All right. And then we carry it forward in our next life. The academy, one can be a PhD in this life, but in next life, you have to start from the kindergarten all over again.
Yes.
But there's something that goes with us is the virtue that we have accumulated by being charitable, by helping the other people. You know, it makes an incredible impact in our life.
That's very important, but I want to end up with one, I think, quite important question. You know, some of us go through the regret of the past. I know you touched a little bit about this, but how can they handle that?
Yeah. By understanding, you're quite right. You know, regret is a mental disease that a lot of people go through, not only our senior citizen or the elderly people, even younger generation go through that. We got to understand that we cannot rewind our time back to the past and correct it. The past is fait accompli. It is done. It's finished. All right. So, but we can take initiative now to improve the quality of our future life. All right. Yes, when we remember the blunders, the mistakes that we made, when we remember that, use that as a rear view mirror in a car. You know, when you're driving forward,
Yes.
every now and then we take a quick glance in the rear view mirror every now and then, only to make sure that our path ahead is clear. In the same way,
we don't repeat the mistakes.
we don't repeat the mistakes. Yes, exactly. So, you know, the blunders, the mistakes that we made, we can either react emotionally or we can respond logically. So, to answer your question, I would suggest that we need to respond rationally. By that, what I mean is that now and then we need to introspect about the mistakes that we made, but not reacting emotionally, but respond rationally by learning from it, so that we don't repeat them like you mentioned, and our path ahead is much clearer.
So what will your final message be to our senior citizens and retirees?
All right. Now, I would conclude by saying there are 5 daily practices that a senior citizen can do so that they are able to maintain the energy and enthusiasm, the vibes throughout the day. Number 1, sleep early and wake up early. Very important. Now, some people, because they're retired, they sit in front of the television late hours, you know, 10, 11, 12. That is a bad practice for health, because we need sleep. Sleep, you know, the modern research shows that we got to sleep in a room that is pitch dark, not partially dark. So sleep early and wake up early.
Oh, yes.
Because when we wake up early, the morning hours, some of the finest of emotions like gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, all these noble emotions manifest in the early hours of the morning. All right. So if you wake up early and engage in life, observe nature, feel that fresh ethereal air in the morning, then we are actually sowing the foundation, or building the foundation for the rest of the day. Wake up early. And then 5 practices. Number 1, hydration. You know, we need to drink warm water. Our body needs a lot of water. Most people, when they wake up, they hit the kettle for tea or coffee. That's a bad practice. Isn't it?
Yes.
Hydration. And then oxygenation, that is deep breathing.
Pranayama.
Now, yes, pranayama. We need to, all of us, not only seniors, we need to spend about 10 to 15 minutes every day for deep breathing. So hydration, oxygenation, and the third practice, specifically seniors, is to read the choice of their scriptures. Maybe the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Vedas, whichever literature that satisfy our soul, spiritual literature. That is what I would call inspiration. All right. And then, yes, absolutely. And then affirmation. Affirmation is to make conscious affirmation is that I can do it. I can achieve it. Age is never it should never be a problem in our life. So when we make a positive affirmation, I'm intelligent, I'm capable, maybe I'm retired, but nothing should stop me from doing what I really want to do. Positive affirmation. And lastly, meditation. So meditation, of course, as you know, it's originated in India. It's one of the very, very important practice that we got to engage in. So hydration, oxygenation, inspiration, affirmation, and meditation, these 5 practices should give us enough energy and enthusiasm to sustain the energy throughout the day, no matter how old or young we are.
Perfect. I would always say also start with gratitude.
Indeed, absolutely.
And with gratitude, I thank you so much for joining me, leaving your very busy life and helping us through all of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And anytime this is available at Be My Guest at ActonTV.org, or any questions, you can write to me to flavorfuleats@gmail.com. From my guest, Mr. Angajan, I'm your host, Hamsha Naidu. Thank you, and please do join me again.